For those of you I have not had the opportunity to meet, my name is Fraley Marshall, and my husband Charles and I, and sometimes one of our children when they're home from school, my son Drake is here today, attend the gathering. And I have the privilege of serving on the local and global outreach committee with Renae, Newmiller, and a fantastic team of people. And I'm grateful to be here with you today. You might be wondering how it is that I am standing up here today. After a very detailed application process and a really rigorous interview, I was intensely vetted and chosen to offer you some words. You hear them laughing. Offer some words on hope today in the season of Advent. And that obviously is not true. The words about hope are true. The way this went down is that I was at the church moving some tables with Renae, and the worship team had just finished meeting, had their planning meeting, and they had a hole to fill. So I'm the answer to that hole for this moment. So I'm glad to be here. A few years ago, I went to a meeting with one of our fellow ministry partners called Help One Now. And in the gathering, a friend was leading a conversation, and he opened it up by asking us, do you think that the world is beautiful or broken? And in my competitive nature, I was trying to game the answer. What would it be? Is our world broken because of our sin, or is it beautiful because of Jesus' redeeming love? And the answer, of course, is that it is both. It is both broken and beautiful. And when I sat and stopped trying to be right, and I sat with that truth, I could get the duality of it. I understood how it could be. But at the time, the world felt a lot more broken to me. I felt a lot more proximate to that than I did the beauty. I had had the opportunity to build a relationship with a family at my kids' high school at Broughton who was experiencing homelessness. A mom and her 2 teenage kids were living in a hotel, and they had been for about 3 years. Prior to making that room their home, they had gotten an eviction. And once you get an eviction, it tosses you into a cycle of crisis that's really hard to get out of, and it's really impossible to find a new place to live. So no matter how hard this woman tried, and no matter how hard she worked, she could not continue to pay the exorbitant price that the hotel was costing, and they were facing being kicked out of the hotel. Stepping into hard places with hurting people can pierce your soul, and that's what it was doing to me. Trying to navigate futilely the systems, I don't know if that's true or not, of support, the whole maze of support in our community that are intended to help, was opening my eyes to brokenness that I did not know had existed before. There are broken relationships and broken systems that defined their daily lives. And it was wreaking havoc on my soul. I was holding this heaviness. And so when I came to that Help One Now conversation, my heart was heavy, and I just felt a lot closer to the brokenness than I did the beauty. At the same time that I was building this relationship with a family, I had friends who were building relationships with women at the Women's Center, which is a day shelter for women experiencing homelessness in Raleigh. And these relationships were all really taking a toll on us. We got together and tried to figure out what we could do. So we spent a year educating ourselves on the issues of housing in our community. And at the end of that year, we realized that our community could use a permanent supportive housing unit. And Kings Ridge was born. And so many of you already know about the story of Kings Ridge because Eatonton Street has been invested in it since the very beginning. And in January, 150 chronically homeless men, women, and children are going to be moving into Kings Ridge, and they're going to be given the space to heal, all part of what you have invested in. Let's see where I was with that. The story of Kings Ridge, I'm sharing it with you again because God used it as a master class to teach me about his relentless pursuit of our hearts. If I'm honest, I'd probably started building that relationship with that family out of charity, but God had a lot more that he wanted to show me. And I could see that at the intersection of brokenness we were building these relationships with the homeless. And the beauty of Kings Ridge was the transformative power of hope. And that hope was not just intended for the people that we'll be calling Kings Ridge home, but it was intended for all those who were saying yes to the story. And I believe that God is at work in and around us everywhere, all the time, in this way. And he is offering us the invitation to join him. Pastor Philip Walker paid attention, and he joined him. Pastor Walker pastors a church in Southeast Raleigh on Sawyer Road. It's called Mount Pleasant. And about 5 years ago, his entire community was surrounded with blighted land and vacant lots. And they had to hire security guards to escort the members into church for worship on a Sunday morning because the criminal activity was so rampant right outside their doors. But believing that God could do mighty things, Pastor Walker began to pray. And he prayed that his small body of people, which is only about 60 people, could have a transformational impact. So he began teaching himself about low-income housing tax credits, which is no small thing. And he slowly began buying up the plots of land all around his church. And then he hired an affordable housing developer, and they have developed 154 units of affordable housing called the Sawyer Summit. The construction is complete, and the doors on that are going to open any day. And building affordable housing is impactful in and of itself, but Pastor Walker's vision was so much bigger than that. His tiny little band of Mount Pleasant believers is creating a welcome basket for every single new resident that will be moving into those homes, and they're going to hand deliver them. And they are creating youth teams, youth sports leagues, and STEM educational opportunities for the kids that will be there. And they are intentionally focusing on how to love their neighbors well through radical hospitality. This brokenness of this blighted land has been transformed by the beauty of community, and that power of hope is right in the middle of it. In Isaiah 58, God calls us to feed the hungry and to clothe the poor and to give housing to the unhoused, not as acts of charity, but so that we may know him more deeply. I'm going to read you the Message version of that. Your lives will begin to glow in the darkness. Your shadowed lives will be bathed in sunlight. I will always show you where to go. I'll give you a life full in the emptiest of places, firm muscles, strong bones. You'll be like a well-watered garden, a gurgling spring that never runs dry. I believe that God calls us into the hard places and into these broken places so that we may know his love more deeply and pour it out on others. Our reading from 1 Thessalonians today is part of Paul's letter to the people of Thessalonica, in which he is encouraging them to hold steadfast and live with joyful expectancy, even in the challenging times. Verse 3:12, this is the Message version again, says, "And may the Master pour on the love so it fills your lives and splashes over on everyone around you." I love this visual so much. Just the whole idea that God could fill us so full of his love that would overflow even into the most broken of places. I know so many of you live this out in your lives every day. You're living it out in your homes, in our church, in your neighborhoods, in your workplaces, in your schools. Our ministry, you're living it out with our ministry partners who are doing this work every day. We get the privilege to partner with places like the Methodist Home for Children, that is working to bring hope to children and families in foster care, or places like the Encouraging Place, who are encouraging us to wrestle with the really tough issues of race and reconciliation, or a place at the table, who are creating radical places of belonging, no matter if you have the means to pay or not, around a table. We've got Neighbor to Neighbor that continues to listen to the call of their community and respond to their needs, whether it was mentoring or livable wage jobs, or now they're into housing. All of them are offering pathways to hope. We have the White Flag Emergency Shelter that we're involved with, where we are offering women shelter on the coldest nights of the year. We have Methodist relief teams that are showing up in places that are devastated by disasters like Helene and doing the hard work of restoration. We have Larch, who fosters an inclusive community where people with and without intellectual disabilities can find belonging and friendship. Habitat for Humanity is building homes. We've got Urban Ministries and Alliance that are offering medical care, Family Promise that is giving shelter, and so many more. These are just some of the organizations we're partnering with where the transforming power of hope in Jesus is made tangible. And Doorstep is another one. So I'm going to invite Renae Newmiller up here to tell us a little bit more about this critical ministry in our church.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. Yes, you will find brokenness, beauty, and Jesus every day at our Doorstep Ministry. And on this first day of Advent, I invite you to think about people in our community for whom Christmas does not bring joy, but stress to their already very complicated lives. They want to provide gifts, decorations, and a Christmas meal to their family, but they may not even have enough money to cover their bills. Perhaps expenses related to a medical crisis have used up all the rent money, and there's no guarantee that they'll even have a home for Christmas. Or perhaps the family's only car requires expensive repairs so the mom can get to work, but then puts the electric bill payment in jeopardy. Or perhaps an unknown water leak has caused the water bill to skyrocket, and there is no longer enough money for groceries. What would you do if this were you? What would you do if you had no safety net, no savings, no family or friends who could help? For many in our community, the answer is the church. And each year, hundreds of desperate families and individuals turn to our church seeking help. Some folks' stories are unfortunate but uncomplicated. Others break our hearts into a million pieces. All of the stories, their realities, are about people who are unconditionally loved by God, who are of infinite value to God, and who God wants us to help if we are able. Which is why our Doorstep Ministry exists, to give help and hope to people who are hopeless. Through our Doorstep Ministry, we help some of our most vulnerable neighbors avoid homelessness by providing financial assistance with rent or utilities to help them get over a bump in the road from something such as an unexpected medical bill, a car repair, or temporary job loss. This assistance helps people to stay in their homes, their electricity on, and the water running. It helps single and two-parent households, seniors living solely on Social Security, and young adults. The people who we help have high school degrees, associate degrees, college degrees, PhDs, and no degrees. They are white, black, brown, and many hues in between. They are gay and they are straight. Some have disabilities or have a child with disabilities. Most speak English, but some do not. Many have a strong faith, much stronger than mine. Others question if God exists. They want the best for their families, and they are no different from you or me, with the exception of they are facing a crisis with nowhere to turn. We are on track to help around 350 families this year. That's nearly a family a day, with the average gift between $400 and $500. And this is just a fraction of the need in our community. We do our little bit of good as best we can. This hope and help through our Doorstep Ministry is made possible by you, our church family. Our Doorstep Ministry is not part of our annual budget. It runs entirely on donations, and donations that are primarily given during Advent. During today's offering, when the baskets are passed around, you'll see cards like this that are in the basket. And we're asking you to take one of these cards, and when the basket comes to you, it has information about our Doorstep Ministry. We invite you to prayerfully consider joining us and sharing this tangible way of Christ's love and hope with families in our community by giving to our Doorstep Ministry. You can do so by scanning the QR code on the back or writing a check to ESUMC with Doorstep in the memo. 100% of your giving goes towards helping our neighbors in need. And donations large and small will make a difference in the lives of families in our community. If you'd like to serve with the Doorstep Ministry, please email me or see me afterwards, and so you can join this ministry of being among the brokenness and the beauty that God's love has to offer. And I'm going to leave you with some words from someone who we recently helped. She said, "I would like to say thank you all again for your help and your kindness. Keep me in prayer, and I will do the same. You are a godsend. It blesses my heart to know help is here during a family crisis." Thank you.